Joining us to give us a little more perspective on what law enforcement is actually doing on the ground is Wilbur Chapman, retired chief for the NYPD. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. You know, we hear this criticism time and time again, anytime there's a shooting. The lack of connection between mental health resources and law enforcement. A record showed that he did have a history of mental health problems, even as recently as this summer, that he was on police radar. Do you know if anything has changed with monitoring people like him?
Good morning, Adrienne. Unfortunately, no. That's one of the big holes in the system. People who have issues mentally sometimes have been able to obtain weapons either legally or through other means because of the fact there isn't a comprehensive way of checking on people and prohibiting those, even though there are red card categories preventing them from having weapons. Obviously, since this individual was a experienced firearms instructor, he would have greater access than the average person. So even if there was some type of prohibition or restriction, that he would find other ways of attaining a weapon.
We probably don't have enough time to go into why things haven't changed for people like him, but we're hours into this. What's the first thing, or what's the thing that law enforcement is doing now to try to find this guy?
Well, the big challenge now is they had the disadvantage of darkness and a rural area. So this individual had plenty of opportunity and numerous places where he could secrete himself. But now with daylight breaking, it will give the officers who are in pursuit a greater opportunity to catch up with him and prevent him from creating a problem with innocent people or even directly confronting law enforcement. But right now, the organized effort will be to use all the resources available to set up a network so that he can't go any further than he is already from the scene, and to ensure that he doesn't inflict any injury on innocent people who might cross his path.
How soon would law enforcement contact people who knew him? He reportedly was trained to use these weapons, and he was assigned to a training facility in Saco, Maine. That's about 45 minutes from Lewiston. How many people in his circle, we're talking close friends, family members, would they already have reached out to?
I'm sure that's going to be an integral part of this investigation. And if they haven't reached out to those individuals already, I could see where they might not want to make that public now. But I certainly think they would be in touch with anybody who could be in his circle, either by blood relation or through his relations in the military.
There's one more question I have for you, and it's in terms of this lockdown. People are advised to stay in their homes, lock their doors, lock their cars, don't go out. If you have to go to work, don't stay inside. How serious is that messaging, and what would be your word to those watching this morning who are tuned into NewsNation about taking it seriously?
I would say err on the side of caution. There is a tendency in a place like this where, you know, I've heard two people already say it's not supposed to happen in a place like this. Well, it did. And as a result, you have to make sure that it doesn't happen to anybody else in the area. And they should stay in until the police tell them that it's all clear, that this individual has been apprehended. If not, they're really putting themselves and others in jeopardy.
Yes, and it could happen anywhere, as we've seen, sadly, in the history of this country. Still the deadliest shooting we've seen this year. Retired New York Police Department Chief Wilbur Chapman, thank you again. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.